deep BNL fans from Canada know of this and have loved this since it came out. This one and the yellow tape, of course. But when it comes down to it, like those of us who didn't have access to it because they didn't tour the US at that time, like we didn't have access to any of this, and so it's a nice hidden treasure.
Yes. And certainly, at the time when they wrote it, they were talking about, throwbacks to our childhoods. And actually for the ratings this week, we're going to give it childhood icons. That's what I came up with. So, even at the time that they wrote it, it was like, oh yeah, a touch of nostalgia. But now listening to it now, even 20 years after that, is it 20 or 30? It might be 30.
30. 30.
Holy crap. Jeez. 30. I'm not that old. 30 years
we were
later,
really young when this came out.
I was just an infant. 30 years later, it's even more of a throwback. And it's just like, oh, God, those were simpler times. Like, it just threw me back to Saturday morning cartoons and sugar cereal and processed food and just staring at the TV and just riding my bike, like all of that childhood stuff, which is,
Well, yeah, because they so it's interesting. They reference Cars, but then also there's a whole verse around Scooby-Doo, which is wonderful because I loved Scooby-Doo growing up. So
of course,
it was this great little throwback and
wicked. And
of course, they weren't like, okay, we'll keep this nice and PG. No, we're not going to go PG with this.
It was great. It's a great song, and I wonder if they would ever, well, they'd have to get back together, but like, you know what I mean? I'm not to go down the shoulda, woulda, wouldn't it be great if they would get back together, blah, blah, blah. It'd be fun to hear them do this song again.
Yeah, it would. Like, this would have been a nice little, if they had to, and I understand the reasons that they pulled what they did for the Junos, this would have been a nice little, like, deep cut for the Juno fans if they had done, like, more of a full concert for everyone.
Yes. And especially for the hardcore Canadian fans that have loved them from day one. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been a nice little nod of the hat.
Oh, definitely.
To them.
So.
But we can't have everything.
No. And this is one of those songs I wouldn't want to hear Ed or Steven sing alone. Like, this is two of them.
No, you can't. That's not what it's about. It's about the two of them.
Oh, yeah. So there were references in here that I didn't get. Ooh. I mean, I get The Door Is Ajar. Like, and that was a nice little funny, like, one-liner that they got.
Yeah. Right.
The one line I didn't get, and maybe someone that's out there that's listening can correct me. What is a zoodle? I looked it up. I couldn't find it anywhere.
Now, I know what zoodles are now. I don't know that they existed at that time, but the zucchini noodles.
Right, but why would they need a zookeeper, a trained zookeeper? It must have been like a Canadian TV show or something like that.
Maybe.
It kind of has that feel of like the Saturday Night Special or something.
Was it Zooble with a B, like Zoobly Zoo?
Maybe, because it sounds like he's saying D and it's written as D in any of the notes, but maybe people just don't know what they're trying to say there.
Like Zoobly Zoo, Zoobly Zoo. But I don't know if that was
maybe
it shown in Canada. I don't know.
That was the only one that I couldn't get.
Dear Ed and Steve, if you're listening, we would like some clarification on this song. You're welcome to come on anytime, and we'd be happy to get your explanations.
Exactly. We'll have plenty more questions again.
Plenty more questions. I won't hound you to get back together, I promise. I respect your boundaries.
I love the lines that they have in here about how they would name all their kids Al, different versions of Al, so they could just say, come to dinner, Al.
Yes.
Like, their little jokes are very much, they're nice little one-liners, and they have fun.
To me, it just shows the greatness of them working together. Like they're not trying too hard. You don't hear any of that. They're not trying to be clever. They're not trying to, turn a phrase nicely. They're just doing their thing, and it's just great.
They're just having fun, and that's what it feels like.
They're having fun. It's That's exactly what it feels like, for sure.
This feels like one of those songs that they wrote while they were out on the road listening to Corky and the Juice Pigs, because it has a lot of that feel to it of like, yeah, we're just going to have fun and make jokes and little references and just have a great time.
Yeah, they talked about Fonzie. They talked about the Sweat Hogs from Welcome Back, Kotter. Like, I was like walking down memory lane, like, oh yeah, it's Laverne and Shirley, and just, anything. It was just so nice.
No, it was just a lot of fun, and I love it. And the only problem that I had with the song was I didn't feel like it's an interesting premise, and it's done really well. The only thing is it doesn't have a backstory, so we don't get, like, how it's leading into this. I don't care. And I'm just waiting for that first, like, 2 lines of the song to kind of lead into the why they don't care and why we're talking about what they don't care about. That's all I'm looking for out of the song that's really missing.
Right. And it probably came up with some, like they were at the high school cafeteria and somebody had this big thing and they had a whole production, and then the two of them were sitting there shooting the breeze with each other and like spun it into this whole thing, and it became this song. Like, there was some
right, something
like that.
But yeah, I mean, I just look for those, like, because that's what their later work starts to do. Is it starts like, if I had $1 million, is this premise that it doesn't lead into that, but you get the idea of why they're singing about if I had $1 million.
You know where it started,
right?
This one kind of starts in the middle,
yeah. And that's what I'm just that 2 lines. Like, tell me, like, who made you, like, what kind of statement were people making that you're like, oh, I couldn't care less about all this other stuff.
Yes, right, exactly.
But other than that, I love the ground antlers line. Like, what's in a chocolate mousse? Ground antlers. Like, that's a double meaning again, and I love it.
It's their brilliance. It's just, and it just flows, and it's just effortless. The effortlessness of it is so good.
And then so it's interesting because I was listening to the 2 different versions. The second version where we have all the guys together,
yes,
it has a Lindsey Buckingham's Holiday Road feel. Where instead of the synthesizer, it's just the guitar doing it, and I'm like, oh my god, what is that song? What is that?
What is that? And how perfect. Like, what a nice little, everything with them is intentional, which is the best part. And it's just sort of like Easter egg after Easter egg, and you're just going to keep looking and you'll keep finding them the more you look.
Oh yeah. No, it was. I love this song. It's very playful. It's a lot of fun, especially if there was a way to get this on my iPad on a consistent basis. It would be on my iPad. Like, it's a fun song.
Totally fun. Totally fun.
So, and I keep changing my rating as I'm talking about because I keep going, yeah, I really do like this song. So, like, there are going to be songs off this tape that are not going to. They don't come across as well. There's some weak spots. This I don't think is one of the weak spots. I think this is a pretty solid song off this. That's a nice one that got lost.
This is a good song to kick off the album for us, I think.
I agree. So, do you have any other things that you want to make sure we throw in there about this?
I just loved it. The lyrics are clever. The melody is great. It's fun to hear them having fun effortlessly.
Yes.
So I know I've said the word effortless about 7,000 times. Somebody should play a drinking game listening to this episode. Every time, okay, here's the rules, kids. Go back and start this podcast from the beginning. Every time I say the word effortless, drink.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Exactly. So I don't have anything more to say except I really enjoy the song.
So why don't we jump to the ratings? We'll have Aaron throw his in later.
Okay, perfect. So as I said earlier, I'm going for childhood icons. So I give this song 4 childhood icons. I give it a 4.
Wow.
I liked it. Like I said, it's not going to be something I search for and have to listen to, but if it's on, I'm definitely going to enjoy it and enjoy listening to it. And it's solid. It's fun to listen to. It's easy. It doesn't require anything of me, and it makes me feel good. And in this time of the world, the way we're at, it's just nice to have something enjoyable to listen to.
I agree.
Yeah. So how many childhood icons do you give this, Tracy? I know you said you've been changing it back and forth, so I'll be interested to hear your final answer.
I'm going to give this a Shaggy, a Velma, a Daphne, and half a Scooby.
Ooh. So 3.5, 3.5.
3.5.
That's a decent score. I'm kind of shocked. Lately, I've been giving higher scores than you.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's missing its Fred, which is
That's
the leader.
true.
So it's missing its lead.
Yeah.
And it's missing a little bit more of the fun that's still not quite to where If I Had $1 Million would be.
So if this song was fleshed out and had a bit more depth to it, you'd be right there.
Oh yeah. If they had continued doing this in concert and then decided, you know what, we're gonna put this on the rarities, it could possibly be right up there in the 5 area.
Wow, nice.
It's just missing little touches and pieces. But it's not missing a lot. And like I said, this is a song that I wish I need to find a way to get it off YouTube so I can actually just listen to it on my iPod, because it would be on there.
There's got to be a way to do that.
So I teased at the beginning of this podcast today that we're going to discuss 2 rarities today.
Yes.
Because there is another rarity that has never been officially recorded. This one was at least officially recorded.
Yes.
There is another one out there. We were going to cover it next week, and still cannot find any official recording versions of this. There are ones on the internet, which is what this week's appearance is the versions of this that are done live, but there's never been any on the tapes. There's never been any done on any of the recordings, the discs, or anything like that. So it has to fall into the appearances category. They covered Careless Whisper.
Yes.
Yeah, why did you have to leave me alone? Now that you're gone, it's been so long that you had to leave me alone.
And they have done it many times. One of which was during Last Times Together with Steven, which is their Ships and Dips tour, a month before they officially broke up. So
which is so interesting.
Oh, I know.
Considering the topic of the song, just all of the, you know what I mean?
And when you watch the one from that, you can see the cracks in the band when they're singing it. You can see Ed and Steve not quite on the same page. You can see them each being individual but not together on it. But it's still a really enjoyable one to have. And that is my favorite version, is the one on the Ships and Dips, because they are just full on into it and just not having fun with it, but just the emotionality is there. They're dipping into what the song means.
And experiencing it in their own way. The whole quote-unquote infidelity, not that there were a couple, but just the cracks, like you said, and the breaking apart of the relationship and the breaking apart, and they're going in 2 separate ways, as we soon find out. It's just so interesting to have, this is the moment where things are starting to show, and things are starting to break down, and you can see it. It's kind of like time travel, you know what I mean? Because we know what happens, and you watch the video, and it's
ooh, there it is, right
holy
there.
Holy crap. Rewind that, pause that, holy moly, did you see that?
And you can see it so evident. So there's a spot in there evidently where Steve steps forward and he's singing just his part, but you can see he's just Steve doesn't do that often. It's even when they were singing normally on stage together, they were equal to each other on stage and even with each other on stage. And Steve steps forward and you can see he's in his own little world. Eyes are closed and he is just in the zone of wherever he is at. And there's it's almost like there's nothing surrounding him in that moment.
It's just him.
And it's still gorgeous. His voice is so amazing. It carries that moment anyways. And Ed's doing an amazing job on this version as well. So there's also one, and I don't think I sent you this one, where Yukon Cornelius covers it. So when Ed had that little band that he was doing for the film.
Oh, yes.
Now, I will say, and I hate to say this, sorry, Ed, turn it off right here and don't listen for like 30 seconds. The band, Yukon Cornelius, the band, I wish they had played together a lot more before they did this cover, because their harmonies aren't very harmonious.